All right, everyone, welcome back to another video. I do apologize. I have been absolutely jam-packed with stuff lately, so I just have not had time to make these videos. They do take quite a long time to make, so I would appreciate if you leave a like on this video because, like I said, it does take a long time to make these videos. I've got to sift through the highlights and all that stuff, so we're straight into the open qualifying session. My lap got impeded here. I really wanted to show this because of how crazy it was. I was not happy. I was pretty pissed, but he did apologize, so we all just move on from that, right?
Alrighty, hello everybody, I'm back finally. So welcome back to another League Zero race. Today we're here for round 3 of season 14.
So that's Antonio leading us off, our race and league director, participating in this race as well. He's going to be involved in some stuff later on, and we will get to that. But here's the start. A lot of wheel spin off the start. That is not great. And so just going to try and hold our straight line, and there's major contact in the front. We'll take a look at that again. I tried to sneak up the outside there because of the fact that everybody just queued up, and so I really didn't have much room. So just trying to defend my positions now, but I'm going to give it to the casters. They are going to review that incident because that was major.
Raceway, race 1 coming your way. 13 laps or 15 minutes. And we are underway at Portland for the first time in League Zero Super Formula Championship action. Callaway's made contact with Amel, and Amel's gone over turn 1. It's a Prost and Senna moment. There may need to be some investigation on that one. 4, now up to P3. You'll watch him dart to the right-hand side. Oh, it's really deep.
Yeah. Did not stop that at all in time. And
No.
It's unfortunate for Noddy because it just had nothing to go. Look at that, absolutely smashed suspension at the back there. That's the reason why I had to tow.
So probably the biggest drama of the season so far, the two championship leaders running into each other in the first corner. Yeah, I think we know whose fault that one is, but you know, those things happen. Sometimes it's just so hard to keep track of what's going on around you. You're looking in your mirrors, wondering if you're going to get hit, and then you end up running into the person in front of you. It's just how it goes. Two people fighting for one space. Things like that are always going to happen. See me weaving here, just trying to get temperature in the tires. That's really all I do that for. You're going to see me do that a couple times in this video, and I actually get called out by the casters for it under a misunderstanding, and we'll get to that later on. But yeah, on the back of Sanchez here, I believe. I don't think this is Sarkis. It's hard to tell the difference between the two cars. I believe that is Sanchez because Sarkis is in P4. I see at the top of my screen. So making that move on Sanchez there, I found that was actually one of the easiest spots for me to make a move because a lot of people were very scared going into that corner. So taking advantage of that and now chasing down Leo Del Ma, which a little bit of late braking there, almost right into the back of him, just trying to utilize all the track.
Here in race number 1 this evening. As I mentioned, it's 13 laps or 15 minutes. Time certain, that's a car spun round. That was David Shakernick, and I think Nick Patterson have been involved. Both cars, big damage.
So I had no idea any of that stuff was happening behind me, but Sanchez is going to go for his move, and I'm going to defend that nicely. We'll take a look from the outside here.
We're right on board with Sanchez in P7. He wants this move on Michael Briscoe. Can he get it done round the outside? No, he can't. Briscoe sends it that little bit harder. Last of the late breakers.
So just a big balls moment, right? Just breaking later than people. You got to be careful with that, though, because you can't do it over and over again or else they kind of catch on and then they try to do the same, and that's when accidents happen. So you need to know when to give up. And Exhibit A right here, I did that for about 2 or 3 laps, and I just couldn't hold it anymore. And so eventually you just have to concede the position, right? That's having good racecraft. You got to know when it's your time to let that position go and just focus on your own race. And that was basically the sprint race right there. I mean, we take the white flag and nothing else really happened. So that's going to put us P7. And I think we gained a couple spots because of the penalties that were applied. So I think we ended up finishing P5 in this one. I have no idea. I'd have to go look back again. Pretty disappointed, though, you can see. I wasn't too happy with that one. Let out a sigh of relief there that was over. Let's go over the incidents.
Speeds.
I think about a spun again too.
Yeah, I think it might be self-inflicted.
This is just no traction. He's lost his front wing too.
Standing where you can attack, where you can apply the pressure. Oh my God, that could have ended in tears. And it's understandable, Dan. It's a new circuit. You're learning these little nuances, as I said. Depends how much practice you possibly could have had. Could also be your setup too. New circuit. These are the difficulties with something that is the unknown, and he just washed wide and could not get it turned in. And Bulgar just dropped a couple of spots.
Same one
I think
again?
it might be in a battle with Keel.
Oh, same spot.
Yeah, as we mentioned, Antonio Bianchi taking the win. AJ Brenner P2. Felipe Sarkis will now take the lead of the championship, finishing at a P3. Jaden Callaway, Fabian Sanchez, Leo Del Mar, Michael Briscoe, Shaji Zerha, KH Donahue, and Shade Buffett for the top 10.
All right, on to the feature length race, 40 laps. This is a long one. So the strategy I had going into this, I do have a race engineer for this episode. I don't know if I mentioned that, so you might hear him talk a few times, and he'll talk a little bit at the end. But the same thing happened again with the launch, so I just slipped the clutch too much. The throttle application was okay, but I just slipped the clutch and the wheels spun, and so I got overtaken so much. But we're going to let the casters take away the start because so much happened. So
forward as best he can. As we got 5 lights up at Portland, race 2 underway. It was a great start from Callaway off the line, but Sarkis and Sanchez have gone with him into the braking zone. He wants an outside line. Sanchez on the inside. Big contact before turn number 1. It's Tilbor that has gone round as we scramble on through. It's another car round. That's KH Donahue. And for others, it's a little bit hot on the gas pedal, and you've all of a sudden gone round, or you've gone into the wall.
We're expecting somebody's out on the kitty litter already too, trying to get back on, maybe just trying to get out of the way for some of the drivers.
Love to extend his now championship lead over Ndibe Mel and the rest of the field. Mind you, Mel's already up 7 positions. That's a car on its roof. That's Gale Rolls and Gareth McAllister that have been involved. I reckon. Big net coat on tyres, possibly.
Yes.
Yep. Like a pogo sticker. Xavier Sernar has now gone round as well. Than the big daddy of the Super Formula car. Has he done this? Oh, it was a big lock up. So he didn't even spin. He just kind of straight line the corner as well. So the dreaded time barriers, Callaway's off. So they're dropping like flies at the moment here, Dean. We've still got 36 laps to go. This was Callaway at turn 1. How was this? Oh, he clipped the wall as he turned in.
Watching Indianapolis, isn't it? IndyCar's an Indy.
I feel one driver then may have used more than their 2 allotted moves there, Dean.
So that's where I got called out by the casters. But what I was doing here was actually trying to get temperature in the tires. You can see them in the top left. It's only lap 2, and it takes like 4 laps for these tires to get to optimal temperatures. So anytime I'm on the straight at the start, I'm not weaving to defend, I'm just weaving to get temperature in the tires. So I don't know why I wanted to include that. Almost running into the back of the driver ahead of me there. I believe that's Shade. I have no idea how to say his name. It's either Sage, Shaji, or Shade. I have no clue. There's a few drivers with a very similar looking name, so it's hard to keep track. But we have to, unfortunately, concede a position here, and that's where Callaway went off from my perspective. So he's going to end up behind us, and I wanted to include that whole montage of everything that happened at the start because from my perspective, this race was incredibly boring. Nothing was really happening, and I only overtook about 2 cars over the course of 40 laps, but it seemed like around me, I was actually benefiting because there was so much going on around me. There was so many cars flying off the track, running into each other, crashing into each other, that I ended up benefiting a lot because of it. I wasn't very happy about this. This was a lapped car in front of me, and I had a couple situations where there were lapped cars that were borderline on the rule set. So we do have blue flags in this league. You are required to move over, but it's a little bit more lenient than F1 is, whereas you don't have to get out of the way when you're like 2 seconds ahead of somebody, but common courtesy, like, if you're a lap down, like normally you just kind of let the driver behind you through, and there was just a lot of miscommunication here. Like, normally you would just pull off to the right on the straight, let them by, you guys don't lose that much time, but made things very indecisive there and hard to overtake. So I try not to trash too many people in my videos, but I wasn't too happy about that. So now in the pit lane, and this is our pit stop. This was lap 21. This was actually a strategy adjustment. So we had planned with my race engineer to stop a little bit later than this, but we saw that everyone was coming in quite early. So we decided to shift our pit stop a little bit earlier, and it actually benefited us quite well in the long run. So blue flags right here. This is the leaders, and this is an exhibit of exactly what I was talking about. Example, whatever word you want to use. You know, not fighting it too much. You know, we're on different race strategies, and so I'm not trying to ruin somebody's race. You know, just let them go by. Don't lose that much time by defending it or fighting it or whatsoever, because at the end of the day, right, I'm not in the same race as them. I'm on the same track as them, but we're on completely different strategies. Now, coming out of the pit lane, this is the one that was even worse, because this is a battle for position here with this car behind me. And this driver is a lap down and just completely ignores the blue flags coming out of the pits. I want to emphasize that again. This was not a battle for position at all between that red car in front of me. So me and Amel were fighting for position, and he decides to pull out in front of both of us coming out of the pit lane and only let Amel through and then not let me through. I was very, very fuming. It probably doesn't look like it in the camera, like I was just very composed in the camera, but in my head I was very, very aggravated about this because he completely ruined this fight, which was very, very unfortunate. And so I just wasn't a big fan of that, and it really actually kind of ruined the landscape of this race for me. I think we would have finished a lot higher had, you know, this played out more in my favor. He decides to move to the right there, but that is almost a lap too late for that. I wasn't really the biggest fan of that.
Bro, like, come on, you gotta leave space.
So that's Antonio on the mic there. Here's what happened.
On lap 17. Oh, he spun round. So easy to do, Dean.
Lucky to get out ahead of these two battling as AJ gets spun. I was going to say, so he was very lucky to get out there. His team was like, you've got to go now, otherwise you're going to get caught with these two.
And two. So they've probably gone as long as they can, I would say, Dean. I think they've really used as much as they can in that fuel tank. As Bianchi, there's contact with Sarkis. The championship leader has had contact made with Antonio Bianchi.
He's still fighting it. He's still fighting it. So it's just
He's still fighting. Why are you fighting, Antonio? Why are you fighting it?
I think I don't know. AJ's going to be approaching them pretty quickly as well too. There's a lap car in between them.
With no front wing.
I don't think this is the end of this.
I do not think it's the end of it. After almost killing his race, he's still fighting it, and he's not happy. He's not happy.
All right, major drama there. We're going to talk about that incident while we just let the rest of this race play out. And so, obviously, you may be a little bit confused, right? If Antonio is the league owner and race director, how do the penalties work against him? Well, somebody else reviews them if he's involved. So, what ended up happening there was Sarkis was given a penalty for that. I can't remember the penalty off the top of my head, but I personally think it was the right call. It just seemed like if you watch that back, that Antonio was halfway alongside at the apex of the corner. And, you know, I think as racing drivers, we're entitled to leave that space. And, you know, there was some pretty heated discussions in the Discord about it. I did not partake in any of the discussions, but you know, I think that's just one of those things that happens, right? It's like we discussed at the beginning of the video. It's two cars fighting for one space, but at the end of the day, I think you have to leave the space there for the driver on the inside regardless. You know, you know, it's not the end of the world if they get through, right? You can always battle back and try and overtake them again. And so I try to take a lot of pride in racing very clean, but accidents like that do happen sometimes, and I've been on both the receiving end of it and the one causing those accidents. So I fully understand it from both drivers' perspectives, and it's just something that happens, right? It's just kind of part of racing, especially when you're battling for higher up positions like that. So we take the white flag, and that is going to do it for Portland here. Not my best race in the world. One thing I really wanted to mention that screwed us up in this video was that my force feedback completely cut out during free practice. So I had new FFB settings for this race, and it was a mess, but I'll give it over to the casters for the summary.
Crucial as he runs onto the main straight. Fabian Sanchez takes the win in race number 2 here this evening. AJ Brenner down towards the line now will take P2 in this race. Shade Bruffett comes home in P3 with Leo Delmar inside of the top 5. Amel, what a comeback for him, Dean, up 19 positions, is going to come home P5. Felipe Sarkis is trying to hold off Larry Johnson to the line. It's a drag race for them. Sarkis gets home by 500th of a second. Zerha inside of the 10. Briscoe and Dustin Smith make up the running order for that top 10 positions.
You know, Sanchez pulled out an interesting strat here, because he placed like P5 or whatever in the sprint race and then just got to the front. And then he just like clean air, he soared away for the main race. Oh yeah, Ambel had a good race as well. Man went from like last place to like 4th. Yeah, I mean, nothing you can do. At least it was a clean race. The front was insane, dude. They were crashing left and right. Callaway crashed, ML. But we go to Long Beach. That's a comfort pick right there. I mean.
So just a few wise words from our race engineer there. He should be with us for a lot of the races this season. We're almost halfway through, but he won't be with us for every single one. But he was here for Portland, so it was good to have race engineer Jan along with us. But yeah, the biggest thing I'd say is that Long Beach was the next round, and that is an absolutely insane race. I cannot wait to upload that. One of the craziest sim races I think I've ever been a part of. So be sure to subscribe to the channel and stay tuned for that coming up. But that's our summary on Portland. Let me know your guys' thoughts on all the drama that went down in the comments below. And I guess I'll catch you guys in the next one. See you later.